Hey YouTube, thank you for tuning in. Well, here it is, the long-awaited video on how to make paint. And this, by the way, is not a cheap paint. This is actually a good quality paint that I've been making. It resists scratching and wear, so it's of equal quality to the paints that you will buy at hobby stores and game stores. First thing you're going to need essentially is a base. This is a matte polymer medium, half-liter jar. This is essentially your paint without the color. It's was about $10, and that is equivalent to about 40 of these and about 30 of these. So that goes along with that. Will make you a lot of different colors. The next thing you need is color. You can get this one of two ways, or three ways. You can buy tubes of pigment at an art store, or you can buy acrylic inks like this at an art store. If you do that, you just basically take the medium and mix the inks in, and you get your color. These things are it'll still be less expensive than buying each individual color at a game store or modeling store. One of these cost me about $5, and I've had this one for about 10 years, and I still do use it frequently. This one it's fairly new. I've had it for a couple years. But if you want to save even more money, if you go to a place that makes paint for your house paints, they have to fill their machines with colorant, and when those containers are done, they dispose of them. But there's usually, and they come in cans like this, and there's usually a little bit left in the bottom of the jar. There's a couple tablespoons worth of pigment here. That is, in most cases, going to be more pigment than you need to make several dozen jars of paint, because you're also going to need several different colors. If you ask the department manager if they can save some for you, a lot of them will be more than happy to do so. They might charge you a little bit for it, a couple bucks nominal fee for a bunch of cans, but you're getting a bunch of pigment for way less than you would pay for anywhere else. There are warnings on these cans. Read them and be familiar with them. You don't want to get the pigments on your hands. They wash up fairly easy, but you want to avoid skin contact, breathing in, getting your eyes, all that jazz. Read the warnings first. Wear rubber gloves. Wear clothes that you don't mind getting stained. The next thing you're going to need is something to put those pigments in. I usually use these little jelly jars. They're short, so they're very easy to get the pigments out. All I do is prop up the jar like this, let the pigment run into it, and fill it. And overnight, everything that's going to drip out will drip out. You can use a paint stick or a popsicle stick to try and scrape some out, but that's a little more effort than you need, because you're usually going to get enough pigment into these jars than you need. This jar has more yellow than I'll ever use. More red, more magenta, more blue than I could ever hope to use. So you only really have to go through this process once, and then you'll have enough pigment to till you're old and gray. Next, you'll need some containers to put the paint in. I got these little containers. This is about a half-ounce plastic container. I kind of like these, mixing the colors I use more frequent. You can also pick up empty squeeze bottles, or empty eyedrop bottles work as well, to save you a little money if you use that sort of thing. You're going to need some primed sprue just to test your paint out. I typically use white, but I've used black to make it a little simpler. Bunch of toothpicks, something to take your pigment from the jar to your paint pot, and I usually use a little sculpting tool. You'll need lots of paper towel. because you want to be wiping your tools clean fairly frequently, because you don't want to get the wrong color in the container, because a very little bit will drastically alter the color of your paint. And you also want to wipe anything off your hands. You want to have some water handy as well. You don't necessarily need to mix this paint with any water. If you want to thin it down, you can. It's kind of optional. You can then use like retarder or a flow release to augment and to get the characteristics you want over your paint, but that's kind of optional. And beyond that, that's about all you need to get started with this. Next video, I'll go through the process of mixing some paint. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again shortly.